Dark Knight versus Gallant feels like you're playing with Russian nesting dolls. Every time something gets deleted, more things come onto the board. I'm going to start by hatching a Pagomon and then Digivolving into Monitormon. Then I'm going to hard play the Deadly Axemon, and that's going to let me search the top 5 cards of my deck to grab 2 Digimon with Knightmon in the name. I grab Cavalier Mode and DarkKnightmon himself. My opponent is then going to hatch the Digimon and Digivolve into Gallantmon. They then play the Searching Gillmon, which allows them to search the top 4 cards of their deck for a Growlmon or a Gallantmon and a Takato. They do manage to see both, so they're going to add a War Growlmon X to their hand and the Takato, immediately playing a Tai actually, not the Takato himself, just to make sure they've got the memory setter on the board. I'm going to draw for my turn, and then I choose to move out from raising with the Monitormon. This deck does focus a lot on aggression, so I think there isn't any real benefit to keeping in the back, especially when they haven't established their board too well yet. I'm going to Digivolve into the Cavalier mode, so I get jamming and blocker for the turn. I'm then going to swing in with my Monitormon. I will get deleted in security, and using Pagomon's effect, I'll reveal the top card of my deck. Because it is a black Digimon, it is added to my hand. I'll then swing in with the Cavalier mode. That would normally be deleted, but I do have jamming. I'm then going to Digivolve into the DarkKnightmon, and this is just going to insulate me from being deleted, with all of the Gallantmon effects just being able to delete things on board. If that does happen, I'll still be able to get 2 level 4s out straight away. My opponent Digivolves into EX3 Growlmon, and because nothing was deleted, with the when Digivolving effect, we will trash 2 cards from the top of both of our decks. And then he does it again, so just another 2 cards gone straight away. It is then over to me, but I only have 1 memory to work with, so I'll start by drawing, then hatching a Pagomon. I'll then Digivolve into another Monitormon, and I unsuspend my DarkKnightmon because I did forget to do that at the start of the turn. I'll then Digivolve into Bagramon. I do like running 2 Bagramon in the deck. The when Digivolving allows me to put 1 Growlmon underneath the other one. I can then trash one of my sources to be able to trash the top card of my opponent's security stack, and I can do that when they Digivolve as well. It's a once per turn, but it's very strong. My opponent hatches the Digimon, and then they're going to Digivolve into another Gillmon. Digivolving again into War Growlmon. His when Digivolving effect will trash the top 3 cards of both of our decks, and then because he have enough cards in trash, he'll be able to play a Takato. He's then going to Digivolve into the War Growl X. My Bagramon gains the effect that if he is deleted within the next turn, then I will lose 1 memory. He is going to Digivolve into Gallantmon X, which does delete my Bagramon, and because he deleted my Bagramon, he gains a memory, suspends Takato, and gains another memory. Swinging in with Blitz for 1 check, he sees the Tumon, so he's fine. There is a second check that he does need to do, this does come up later. I'm going to push out the Monitormon and swing at security. I don't get deleted because the Gillmon only has 1000 DP. And then I'm going to play the DarkKnightmon, which will allow me to grab back a Skull Knightmon and a Deadly Axemon from my trash and pop them under my DarkKnightmon. The plan is to just try and make sure that I have something on board next turn to be able to swing with. Putting out Dark Knight means that I will have an extra 2 bodies if they do get deleted anyway. This is when my opponent realizes that Tai should have allowed an extra check, but we see the DarkKnightmon x-antibody, and because there's no DP boosts on Gallantmon, he would have been deleted. This puts my opponent in a much worse position. He's going to move out the Gillmon, and then Digivolve into Growlmon. This does delete the Monitormon, so we reveal the top card. It is a black Digimon, and adds to my hand. Meanwhile, he's Digivolved into Growlmon X, and then Digivolving again into War Growl X, be able to choose if he grabs back a Takato or a Gillmon, either from trash or hand, and plays it out. He's going to play out the Takato. Then he's going to Digivolve into Gallantmon. The when Digivolving deletes DarkKnightmon, I'm going to be able to play out the Deadly Axemon and the Cavalier mode, using the Deadly Axes on play to reveal the top 5, grabbing 2 Digimon with Knightmon in their names. Gallantmon is going to swing at security. His one attacking effect will trash the top card of my security based on how many cards I have in trash. So we're going to trash 2, and then the third one is going to clear my security. And then going to be able to unsuspend. And because my opponent doesn't have any blockers, and he wasn't able to clear my board, I'll just be able to Digivolve into Monitormon and then swing for game. Just always play out the turns anyway. I'm going to be starting game 2 nearly throw my card at my opponent. I'll hatch the Pokemon, Digivolve into Jakurimon, and then I'm going to play out the Pride Memory Boost. This reveals the top 3 cards on my deck, and I'm able to play a 4-cost Digimon from among them and trash the rest. I'm going to play the Gallantmon Mighty Axe mode, and that's going to be able to search the top 3 cards on my deck, grab me one of the cards. I'm going to choose the Gallantmon and trash the rest. My opponent starts his turn. He's going to be able to draw, hatch the Digimon, and then Digivolve into the Gallantmon. He's going to play the Gallantmon Searcher, exact same way he started the previous game. He's going to choose to grab the Gallantmon x-antibody. It's definitely a strong enabler for his Gallantmon plays. He's going to play out Cool Boy, which is definitely going to help with draw, memory gain, keeping it his turn, and the search does grab him another Gallantmon x-antibody. My turn is going to start. I only have 1 memory to work with. I do have the Pride in the back if I need to crack that. I'm going to move out the Jakurimon, and then I do choose to just immediately pop the Pride Memory Boost, going up to 3 memory, and then Digivolving into the Gallantmon. I'm going to swing with him immediately and use this effect to put in a Deadly Axemon into his Inheritables, and then Digivolve into the DarkKnightmon. This is a free evolution, and because I have the Gallantmon Inheritable, I'll be doing 2 checks at 7,000. I draw for the Digivolve, then first check I am deleted, but using the DarkKnightmon on deletion effect, I can play out both Gallantmon and the Gallantmon Big Axe mode. I will use the Pokemon effect first, check the top card of security. It is a black Digimon, so I add it to hand, and then I get to use the Big Axe mode's on play effect to be able to search the top few cards of my deck. Before that, I'm going to use his cross effect so I can delete the Gallantmon off the board. I use the on play effect to be able to grab another Gallantmon into my hand, and I'm just going to pass turn by playing the Tumon. I just want to try and avoid any extra memory gain effects, even though I know one of them is definitely coming from Cool Boy. He does Digivolve into Growlmon, and then he's going to Digivolve into Growlmon X. He suspends Cool Boy to be able to gain a memory and draw a card. He then Digivolves into Growlmon, so when Digivolving will trash the top 3 cards of both of our decks. Then he's able to play a Gilmon or a Takato. He's going to choose the Gilmon from his trash, which will search, and from the search he grabs a Gallantmon x-antibody. This luckily ends his turn, and I'm going to be able to unsuspend, draw, and then hatch the Pagumon. I'm then going to Digivolve into Monotomon, and then I'm going to Digivolve into Cavalier mode. I'll swing at security with jamming. I'm going to swing the Skull Knight at security. I'm going to use his when attacking effect to be able to Digivolve into another DarkKnightmon by putting Cavalier underneath. His sources are then trashed. Then I can do 2 checks at 7,000. This does set up a Cool Boy on my opponent's field. He doesn't get anything with the search though. But we know that he has the Gallantmon X, so this is going to be quite a devastating turn if he's able to get into Gallantmon and then the Gallantmon X antibody. I'm going to play Monotomon to end my turn. This is going to allow me to search the top 4 cards of my deck for 2 black cards with either Nightmon or Deadly Axemon in their names or Twilight in their traits. I'm going to be able to grab 2 cards from that, which is pretty good. My opponent is then going to start their turn. They'll draw. They're going to hatch a Digimon. They'll start by Digivolving into a Gilmon and raising, and then they're going to Digivolve into the Wargrowl X. To allow them to draw a card from when Digivolving. They're going to choose to suspend the 2 Cool Boys now. They'll gain 2 memory and draw an additional 2 cards. Then they're able to pop both Monotomon and Tumon. They do gain an additional memory because they deleted something and Tumon was already off the field. They then play Takato, which is going to be able to set up any blitz plays they were thinking of. They'll Digivolve into the Gallantmon. This does delete DarkKnightmon, but as we said before, the on deletion effect will pop out both of the sources that I have under there currently. He is going to choose to swing into the Cavalier mode, and I don't know why I didn't do the second trash. We don't pick up on this, but it doesn't end up having an impact on the game. He's going to Digivolve into Gallantmon x-antibody. This deletes my Gallantmon, and because he has deleted Digimon, he gets to trash top card of my security. He's going to Digivolve into Growlmon to pass turn, and I have quite a clear board compared to him. I'm going to move out the Monotomon, and I decide to swing in with the Monotomon just to remove his last security. I'm going to look at the top card of my deck with the Pokemon on deletion, and because it does a black card, it adds to hand. I'm then going to choose to Iron Fisted Onslaught his Gallantmon x-antibody just to get it off the board. It gives him a lot of memory to work with still, but I'm hoping that staves off enough of his aggression to be able to just live another turn. He's going to Digivolve into Gallantmon, which will trash the top 3 cards of both of our decks. Then he's going to be able to grab a Gallantmon back from trash, which plays out automatically. Looks like he doesn't have a way to end the game, so he's going to play out Ty, leaving me at 1 once again, and his board is quite terrifying. I hatch the Pagumon, no, I Digivolve into the Chukurimon. I don't have a lot of options, so I'm going to play Deadly Axemon, which will reveal the top 5 cards of my deck, and I can grab 2 Digimon with Knightmon in their names. I grab DarkKnightmon x-antibody, and with that, it passes back to my opponent. My deck is pretty much almost gone from all the trashing effects. He Digivolves into Gallantmon, and then he plays the Gallantmon, which was great to see in any of these games. We love that little guy. He's going to Digivolve into the Gallantmon x-antibody, which gives my Deadly Axemon, when deleted, gain 1 memory, and he deletes it with the secondary effect of that. So he's gaining memory, Takato suspends, gaining more memory, suspending the Cool Boys, getting even more, goes into Gallant, and he'll be able to trash the top 3 cards of my security, so Nini does not get played. And then, because he's just been trashing security with the effect, he still has the last security check that goes through and ends the game. That takes us into game 3, and I'm going to choose to go second. My opponent hatches the Digimon and Digivolves into the Gallantmon, playing the Searcher Gallantmon. This is exactly the same thing as he's done the last 3 games. What the hell? Am I stuck in Groundhog Day or something?
Hey! Phil? Phil? Hey! Phil Connors! Ned?
He's able to grab the Groundmon and Takato, and I start my turn on 3, so let's see if I can make something of this. I'm going to hatch the Pagumon, go into Monitormon straight away. I'm going to play another Monitormon, being able to search the top 4, grabbing 2 cards. I'm only able to grab the 1 DarkKnightmon. Then I'm going to choose to Digivolve into the Skull Knightmon in Raising. It is so hard to remember what is Dark Knight, what is Skull Knight, what is Deadly Axe, what is Mighty Axe, what is Cavalier. There's so many different Knightmons. My opponent Digivolves into the Gallantmon X, which is going to be able to delete Monitormon. And then he's going to Digivolve into the Growlmon, so trashing the top 2 cards from both of our decks. He goes into the Growlmon X, and then the War Growlmon. So he's going to be able to play something back because he's just hit enough in trash. See what he chooses to grab. He's going to get the Gallantmon back. Doing another search. He's able to get a Growlmon x-antibody. I will start my turn on 3, so I'm going to choose to move out the Skull Knightmon. And then we're going to Digivolve into the DarkKnightmon. We don't have the ability to do that cheat evolution by swinging, unfortunately. We will still manage to do 2 checks at 7,000 with the Inheritable. We do die on the second check, so we'll pop out the Skull Knightmon. Revealing the top card from Pagumon, I do get to add it to hand. And then we're just going to play Nini, so we'll do another search. Nini can grab one thing that has Twilight, Dark Knight, or Deadly Axe in its traits. I do manage to get the Digi-Crossing Dark Knight, which is actually really good in this matchup. Nini is also going to give my Digimon blocker, as long as they are Dark Knightmon or have Twilight in their traits, so it's something to consider when I'm playing out my mons. He is going to be able to pop the Skull Knight just with his Inheritables, and then he's going to swing in for 1 check. It's 8,000, he does live. He's then going to Digivolve into Growlmon, and then Digivolve again into Growlmon X, and then he Digivolves again into War Growlmon, and this might just be a play so that I can't remove everything from his board by de-Digivolving it. He's going to make sure that he has a Gallantmon in the next turn or something like that. Potentially he also just doesn't have the Gallant at this time, but he's going to be able to trash the top 3 cards of our decks. We see Crimson Mode, Gallantmon x-antibody, so if he was looking for them, some of them are gone. He does get to play out the Takato with the effect though. My turn starts, I'm going to be able to draw, hatch the Pagumon, and then Digivolve into Monitormon. I'm going to play out the Crossing Dark Knight, just so that I can de-Digivolve one of his Digimon. I'm going to choose the recently evoed War Growl, and then I can delete something with a play cost of 5 or less, so I'll choose the Growlmon X. My opponent's going to hatch the Digimon, Digivolve into the Gallantmon, And then he digivolves into the Gallantmon x-antibody, so he's going to be able to delete my DarkKnightmon, gain a memory from the effect, but I am able to play out one of my Dark Knight sources by placing the other back into my hand, which is a really neat effect because it just keeps me going. I do play out the Mighty Axe mode, and it's going to be able to search the top 3 cards of my deck, and I get another DarkKnightmon, and then it gets deleted by him digivolving to Gallantmon. He's going to choose to delete his Gallantmon so that he can do an extra few checks. He trashes the top card and then does 2 checks. I'm able to play out the Nini and grab another Big Axe mode. He's then going to digivolve into Gallantmon x-antibody. Because nothing was deleted, he'll be able to unsuspend and swing with Blitz. Last check though is the DarkKnightmon x-antibody, so he is going to get deleted. Loses his whole stack at the end of his turn, which is not what he wants to see. He does have something in raising, but I should be able to get something out with blocker so that I don't lose the next turn. I'm going to move out Monitormon, and I'm going to play by crossing the DarkKnightmon. I'll put under 2 sources. Even though I don't need to digivolve anything, I just want to be able to play it for less so that he has less memory to work with. He's actually going to stay in raising and then just play the red memory boost, searching the top 4 cards of his deck for a red Digimon, grabs the Gallantmon, and then he's just going to do it again. So he's got 2 mem boosts on the field, so he'll be able to at least go to 5 next turn. He's going to grab a Gallantmon. We can see that he's got essentially everything he needs to go up until at least the level 5, maybe even the level 6. I'm not sure if he has that in hand. I'll draw for my turn, go to hatch the Pokemon, and then digivolve into Chikurimon. I'm then going to play another DarkKnightmon, and this does cost me a lot, but I'm going to be able to put 2 things underneath the DarkKnightmon, just making sure that I have a blocker and then potentially enough checks in the next turn to win. My opponent does have 4 memory to start his turn. He is then going to be able to go up to 8 if he wants to, just with the memory boost. He's going to move out the Gallantmon and digivolve into Gallantmon. He's going to be able to delete the Monitormon with the when digivolving effect. No trashing because of it. I am able to draw the top card of my deck because of the Puggamon effect. He's then going to suspend Takato just to gain another memory from deleting something, digivolving into the Gallantmon x-antibody. He's then going to digivolve into the Gallantmon. This does trash the top 3 cards of both of our decks. He's going to play out a Takato with the effect and then pop both of his memory boosts, going back up to 4. He's then able to digivolve into the Gallantmon, which will delete one of my Digimon, so he chooses to delete the crossing DarkKnightmon. So I'm going to be able to play out the Big Axe mode, and then I can do the search with the effect. And this just makes sure that I have another blocker on board in case he does choose to swing. It's going to swing at security. I choose to block with the Big Axe mode. I'm worried that if I choose to block with the DarkKnightmon, I'll pop out 2 Digimon with the same DP as the Big Axe mode, and then if he digivolves into the X-antibody, he's going to be able to delete all of my Digimon and just go for game. He does digivolve into the X-antibody, which will delete instead my DarkKnightmon, and I'll be able to pop out my 2 Digimon. Then he's going to be able to play the Gallantmon to pass turn. I'm going to unsuspend, push out my Chikurimon. I need 4 checks this turn to win, and he's feeling pretty confident. But I have a trick up my sleeve. I'm going to digivolve into the Cavalier mode, which will give me jamming and sec +1 because of the inheritable, and then I'll be able to do 2 checks. This is when I realize he's only got 2 cards left in his deck. Second check would delete, but I have jamming. I'm going to swing in with the Big Axe mode, and then I'm able to finish with Chikurimon. This is the Chaos Degradation opponent that I versed a few weeks ago, so I don't care that I won in security.